All right, Oscar, if you got the disease of the happening, how do you think you would kill yourself?
I'm pretty uninventive. Probably just jump off a large building. What about you? You, Carl?
God, I reckon I'd probably fly to LA and take James Corden with me.
And that's funny because the happening doesn't even have to happen for you to do that. You bought your tickets and you're keen to go.
Oh, it's already happening.
Happening. The happening. My name's Oscar.
My name is Carl, and this
this
is
is
Who Would Watch This?
That's going to be hard to sync up. That's the only part that's actually going to be hard. Welcome to Who Would Watch This, the podcast where we watch a film, we talk about the film, and then try and figure out who would watch this.
Today, we're talking about M. Night Shyamalan's The Happening. It currently has a 1.9 on Letterboxd, a 5 on IMDb, and a 17% on Rotten Tomatoes. Oscar, what is the plot?
A science teacher, Marky Mark, his wife, Zooey Deschanel, and a young girl, and John Leguizamo, I can never pronounce his last name,
John Leguizamo?
And a young girl struggle to survive a plague that causes those infected to commit suicide.
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing.
The tagline is, we've sensed it. We've seen the signs. Now, it's happening.
I hate it, but I also kind of love it. Like, the person who thought of that must have had just an absolute great day for the rest of the production. Like, oh, I've nailed it.
I love it. They were like, we've sensed it. We've seen the signs. There's a village.
Ang the Last Airbender. Oh,
and now we're unbreakable. Oh, and it's happening.
But then I found out they'd already used that tagline for...
Signs. It's already the tagline for signs.
So you can't do that, those cheeky buggers.
Do you reckon he just did like a control find for like the most popular word in his script? And then he was like, they say they're happening a lot.
Should we just... It's that or Mark... I keep calling Mark Zuckerberg. It's either that or Marky Mark does some stuff.
Marky Mark the scientist. All right, Oscar. Well, before we get into it, let's travel back in time to before we'd seen the film and tried to predict who we thought would watch it. All right, so Oscar, The Happening.
The Happening. We're in a bit of a Zoom fun messer, but let's jump into this, Carl.
Do you want to? Should we explain to the listener what is happening right now?
Yes, we've never done Zoom pod. We've been blessed enough not to do podcasts over Zoom. This is the first one, and it's I think a bit of a disaster. Visually, audio wise, it might be perfect, but visually, it's a fucking disaster. I'm on FaceTime. My phone's about to die. Oh, all right, you've just lost me, Carl. So now it's just audio.
All right. So Oscar's just died on FaceTime. I now don't even have him. I'm to get good audio. I'm underneath a giant doona. We have my microphone's connected to a Mac, which then has Zoom and Audition open. I'm under a doona, which makes it pitch dark, so I've had to bring a lamp under here. It's burning hot. It is actually so hot. And I've only been under here for 8 minutes, and we've got to record an hour. Oh, God. Shyamalan, look what you've done to us.
That prick. All right. Let's just jump into it. The Happening. Have you seen this before?
Sorry, yes, I have. I watched this in high school. I have not returned to it. I'm genuinely so excited to watch it again.
I'm pretty excited too. I watched it with like my family and a bunch of cousins, and I think it's insane. All the parents furious what's going on the screen. Me, young, just watching it going, this is hilarious.
Because I can't remember, and I think future Carl will have to fix this up because I can't reach my phone right now.
Yeah.
But I feel like, was this the change in tide for him making shitty films?
I think Signs wasn't it? Wasn't that like a bit like, oh, what's going on there? Maybe it works, maybe it's good.
Signs was like a big hit financially and critically had good reviews.
But people were a bit like, that was strange.
Yeah, it was an odd one.
Yeah.
And then he had, I think, The Village after that, which I think, was it?
People caught on that he's just doing twists, I think, for The Village.
Yeah. Which is always an interesting thing to me because do you reckon it's he became the twist guy or producers suddenly went, yeah, but what's your twist?
I imagine they kept going, so you nailed it with that first twist. I feel like this one needs a twist.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like they would have just kept on being like, is there a twist? If it doesn't have a twist, make it a twist.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want, but just make sure there's a twist at the end. That works.
So who do we think will watch this one?
If you're afraid of the wind, then you're gonna. This is a spooky one for you. That's all I remember. The wind's hilarious in this.
If I believe, for me, I'm going to say that who should be watching this is up and coming actors who have to do an audition, and they need to pick a monologue to do. They should do that one where Mark Wahlberg is talking to a plant and he realizes that it's actually just a plastic plant. And he's like, don't kill us. Me and my family just want food. Oh no, you're a plastic plant. I'm still talking to a plant.
And that's how you get, I guess, all the acting roles. Your range will be, it's like butter. It's spread over every realm of acting. That's how good this scene is for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's going to be mine.
Yep, too easy. All right, lock it in.
Yeah.
All right.
This fort is caving down on my back.
Yeah, mine's getting hot. We're gonna redo this next week.
Yeah, perfect. Absolutely perfect.
All right, goodbye.
All right, bye.
Alrighty, Carl. Let's jump into The Happening.
Did you watch this on Disney Plus?
I did watch it on Disney Plus.
What a weird place to watch this sort of film.
It feels there's a lot of these that we keep clicking on, and it's just like it's on Disney Plus. I'm like, I'll watch it, but it shouldn't be on there.
No, it shouldn't. I also keep on being like, and I don't think they're doing it, but for some reason in my head, I always thought this film was more violent, and I was like, have they edited it for Disney Plus? But then I was like, what's the point in even doing that if you're just gonna have it like as an MA film?
Yeah, and it's not like a classic that needs like, I don't know, maybe not outcry, but I mean, like, it's not like people are trying to watch this. I can't imagine someone going through and editing it.
I can't imagine the fact that so many people are watching The Happening on Disney Plus.
The Disney
that they were like, somebody should re-edit that.
Well, is it just the suicide? That's why it's so like MA. I guess it's R in America, but it's MA here, isn't it?
Yeah. Like, I mean, we'll get into it. I guess some of the film is tasteful. I don't know.
Sure.
Like
that's my notes. Just tasteful, all written down.
That's what I've just written over and over. And I'll tell you right now, I have no complaints.
Oh,
Who wouldn't watch this?
Who wouldn't watch this? It's crazy. I guess we're done. Before we even get into the film, I think it's the UTV. It's a production company. The horniest logo I've ever seen.
What's the logo?
Someone grabs 3 fingers and dips it in paint, just smudges it across the screen. I'm like, oh, gross. It's just like, watch our film. You're going to love it.
Yeah, actually, I do remember seeing that, having to pause the film, and then I just did something else for 10 minutes. That was a bit of fun and came back in.
Okay, nice. You finger painted with your penis?
Sure. I walked the dog because I have a new sense on life. Those 3 fingers are go-getters. Why aren't I a go-getter?
What, just the 3 fingers of yours? So you're holding the dog's leash with 3 fingers?
Damn straight. I didn't even have a dog before. It took me 10 minutes to rustle one together.
I feel like you've left a big opportunity. You could have gone to go bowling. I feel like 3 fingers is only good for bowling.
Let's talk about 3-finger sports.
It's just bowling. I don't know why I even think there's a discussion. Okay, so we open with like their names all in the clouds, and we're opening it on Central Park. This is like a 9-minute
opening of credits. It's so long.
It was great. I love that. When the film's 90 minutes, you got some credits, and you got like the end credits. I'm like, oh, thank God, it's gonna be a tight 70.
Absolutely. I remember scrolling through the credits, being like, oh, 3 minutes knocked off this film. Hell's yes.
Saying that though, it's 70 minutes. I've got more notes than I normally have.
I filled pages and pages. All right, so we meet 2 girls sitting on a park bench.
Yep.
One of them can't keep track of the book she's reading. And so I was like, okay, so these trees are causing illiteracy.
Yeah.
Now what?
Well, here's my thing, Carl. Have you ever sat next to a friend and had them know the book so detailed that they're reading that they can tell you just off the page number where they're up to.
Yeah, all the time. Have you not ever sat next to a stranger on a plane while they're reading and they're like, "Oh, I've forgotten where I'm up to," and I'm like, "Oh, you reading War and Peace? You're on Peace."
But yeah, she's right. She's so vague. It's like roughly the chapter title, not exactly the exact page. Like, how long was she reading the book and not knowing what's going on?
Right? She must have.
Oh, I thought we were at war.
It only makes sense if minutes before she was like, "Man, I'm enjoying this part where this guy does this thing and then that thing. Now I'll go back to reading. Where am I up to?"
Oh, well, thank God you said that. Now I can get. Yeah, again, this is. We're seconds into this film and already so many wrong points.
Well, don't you think that like the whatever she said could have completely put that woman astray in terms of the plot? Like, now she can't follow that book if that woman is wrong.
Oh yeah, exactly. You tell you what I would do. I'd probably kill myself. And that's what happens. Everyone in Central Park stands still for a second.
Yep.
People start walking backwards, I think. And then people just start going to town and killing themselves.
It's weird, and this movie's inconsistent on how it wants to on how the disease works. I get that everybody pauses, but it's not like everybody walks backwards. Some people still talk. Others will move forward to find a weapon. Others will walk backwards. Like, it's odd. Like, and they're always inconsistent.
You're totally right. The backwards thing is like a creepy idea. But then they drop it constantly.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you. I think actually one of the other things in this opening before we move on is the fact. So she stabs herself with some needles from her hair.
Yeah, a needle. Yeah.
The other woman completely unfazed. She's not.
Is
like...
that because she's under the impression, or is she just pissed off she ruined her book?
She's like, you know what, you deserve to die. You can't even follow a simple book. You're reading The Hungry, Hungry Caterpillar. How do you not realize you're up to Apple?
He's still hungry, and he's still going to transform. The book's 9% hungry, and then a bit of transformation at the end.
Oh, God. I really like this next scene, which is all the people jumping off the roof.
Don't know why this wasn't the first one.
Yeah, as if this isn't just the opening. Yeah, I'm gonna guarantee that. I reckon this film probably reads okay on paper.
What, you mean just like the script?
Yeah, like I reckon you'd be like, oh, that's an interesting imagery. It's interesting to see how that comes together. There's like some parts where you're like, oh, that's, you know, sentimental and cute. But the thing is that depending on like the type of M. Night Shyamalan you're getting, I think he can be a very stilted and cold filmmaker. And sometimes it'll work for his material and sometimes it won't.
Gotcha.
And this is one of those cases where I think every choice he makes is just not working for this material.
The acting choices alone. Like, it's almost... I read somewhere that he wanted to make like a really good B movie. And like some of the plot elements kind of lend it to that. Like a weird disease, what's happening? But then the acting is so... laughably bad, which I love.
I think like it depends whether or not, like, I don't know, I'm hesitant to be like, okay, do we believe that he wanted to make a B movie, or is he saying that now that the movie's been out?
Yeah.
I don't think there's enough homages in this to B movies for him to be like, this is my version.
And what
of
even would a modern day B movie look like?
Well, I don't know. I reckon had the movie been in like, say, black and white, then I think it's like, oh, you're going for like
a bit campy,
sort of B
silly,
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going for a campy B movie. Because there's so many parts where you're like, oh, but this is campy and silly. But I'm like, but I don't know if but it's being filmed seriously. If
no,
100%.
Like, it's like, this is serious. Take this seriously. Yeah. So that's what we're dealing with. A film that is a B movie taking itself seriously.
I know. It's like, do you reckon he meant I wanted to make a B movie in terms of the fact that the movie's about bees missing?
Well, I think so, which is funny because I feel like B movie, Jerry Seinfeld's B movie, the classic movie.
Yeah,
I imagine both productions were right next to each other, being made at the exact same time. And M. Night went, I'm making a good B movie, and Jerry just fucking laughed. He just laughed at his fucking face, you moron. And that's why it's done so badly.
I know. It's funny that you bring that up because B Movie by Jerry Seinfeld also was my first brush in with the concept of suicide
True.
too.
That was my first touch with bestiality. So
How weird is that plot point that she falls in love with a bee?
I love it. It's so good.
I remember the thing that disgusted me in it is I think the Matthew Broderick bee stings somebody
Yep.
and is therefore going to die.
Yep.
But they replace his stinger with like an olive pit.
Yeah, like a little pink sword.
And I always thought that was disgusting that somebody's shoved that sword into his body. And that's like, what? That's so upsetting to even comprehend.
He was happy with the
Who did
transition.
that?
I think you could read into that, Carl. That might be a bit more deeper than Jerry's letting on.
Barry B. Benson will be the death of me. All right, so we now meet Mark Zuckerberg. Fuck me, you've got me doing
Yeah.
it. We now meet Mark Wahlberg.
Yep.
And what's his profession?
A scientist. A science teacher, my mistake, which I love, because like he must have been cast in like dirty cops, porn stars, rough hooligans. He's like a crooked cop, and this one's like, how about you're a scientist?
I love that. The M. Night's just like, I loved when you had that giant penis in Boogie Nights. You want to be a teacher?
Around kids, I think this is really where you should be fitted in. And does he stand
He's
up like
like-
a sore thumb, Carl?
I love this. Like, he's like, okay, well, what type of teacher am I going to be? You're going to be the one that tells a child he's going to grow up to be ugly. You're going to roast and neg the children in your class.
He's trying to get so he pretty much walks in and pretty much like he must have just listened to like a Joe Rogan podcast. He's just like, guys, bees are dying. Thoughts? What are you guys doing about it? And people are like, I don't know, global warming's the issue. It's like, no, wrong. And then he gets this really attractive kid, just like you. Hey, what are your thoughts on the bee thing? And the kid, rightfully so, is like, I haven't got an opinion. I'm not very informed on this issue. He's like, you know what? At 15, you look pretty. You look pretty cute. You're probably perfect. But you get
Which
older.
is actually, which as a teacher is a weird thing to look at a 15-year-old and be like, you're fuckable now.
You got the prime fuckability. Anything
Raise
else?
your hand in this class. I think his name is, what's his name?
Jake. I think Jake.
Jake. It is Jake. He basically is like, everybody in the class, raise your hand if you want to fuck Jake. Oh yeah, look at that. Nearly everybody.
Everyone wants to fuck you.
Everyone wants to fuck you. Raise your hands if you reckon you want to fuck Jake in 10 years. A lot of people lower their hands there, Jake.
So how about you learn about I like that his like way to get rid of the like that you're gonna age is just learning about science. Like that will decrease the aging process for somebody.
So what I thought interesting about this was I decided to look up to see how this actor aged.
How did he age, Carl?
He's still gorgeous.
Oh, thank God. And Mark does say that. He says, don't worry, Jake. I'm just messing you. You're going to be a heartthrob for ages.
Oh god, he is teaching this high school class like it's college.
Yeah, it's too casual.
Walking around like this is not how high school works.
They should be. They're like, what does he say? 15? They should. Well, I remember when I was in 15 in science, we were just burning rubbers with the Bunsen burners. Like it's fucking chaos out there. It's Mad Max. No way kids are listening. Like, let's get a discussion about bees going. No fucking way.
I know, right? And even then, nobody would have engaged.
But then the most fucked up thing happens because he's the cool teacher, but the vice principal walks in and just immediately starts negging her. He's like, "Ooh, the boogeyman's here!" Starts running under the class like, "Don't want to look at her! Don't look at her! She'll turn you to stone." All the kids are like, "Man, she's doing her best."
He's doing what you would do if there were like 9-year-olds in the class.
Yeah.
Like, aren't we all afraid of the vice principal? Ooh. She's going through menopause and her children don't love her anymore, and she's in the midst of a divorce. Disgusting, am I right, children?
Look at her, Jake. That's what happens if you don't learn about the bees. Aging hurts.
She used to look like you.
A 15-year-old boy.
He's like, hey, everybody in the class, raise your hand if you'd fuck the principal.
Vice
Look at that.
principal. Yeah. Sea of dead hands.
People lower their hands on the word vice. Oh, I'm addicted to power.
Oh, I mean, I'll submit, but not to a vice principal. It's ridiculous.
Jake, what are your thoughts on this? Stop calling on me. Leave me alone.
We should also preference, he looks 23. He's like
Oh
a
my god,
15-year-old.
he's easily the oldest person like there is. It's like, yeah, it's like getting the up and coming. It's like just getting Mark Wahlberg to, like, you could have cast them in the same role.
He plays Jake. What do you think, Jake? I don't know. You're pretty good. He says to himself, "You're perfect." Yeah, thanks, teacher.
He does. Like, he's like, "Would you fuck me?" I'd fuck me.
Down.
He's like, "Hey, class, I'm gonna teach you how to put your penis between your thighs."
All right. So the vice principal's like, "Hey, Mark, I know you're doing this good bit and all, but there's an attack on New York, so let's tone it down."
Mark, I hate to interrupt you because that was a really good tight five, but we've gotta go.
Also, if you say there's an incident like in New York, it's only been 7 years. I feel like people just suddenly jump on a thing, and he's like he's casually like, "What's going on?" Anyway, the principal, who's the guy from Succession. Maybe we'll see another person from Succession. Wink.
It's also odd too because I thought this guy was gonna have a bigger role. It's the guy from like Ferris Bueller and Ghost Town and lots of things.
Yeah,
and he's just the vice principal. I wonder if he got cut.
There must be scenes cut because there's a bunch of teachers in like a hallway and they're all crowded around just him talking. And yeah, he's never seen again.
Yeah, it was just odd to get somebody famous
that
for
high
that
profile.
Role.
Yeah.
Oh god. Anyway, so we meet John Leguizamo.
Yes.
Yeah. He's pretty into statistics.
Oh, he's a pretty nerdy kind of guy. He's
a very nerdy kind of guy.
He loves his maths.
And they're all like, he loves his maths. And so they're all like, "Hey, we should flee the city, shall we?" And Mark Wahlberg's like, "Cool, I'm going to go back and I'm going to get my wife." And John Leguizamo's like, "Hey, I hate your wife. She's a bitch, and on your wedding day, I don't think she wanted to marry you."
I think she cried, and I think she regrets ever looking at you, Mark. And Mark's like, "Dude, not cool."
"But I'll see you in 10. I was like, why is this even being said?
Anyway, he goes back to his apartment, right? And it's Zooey Deschanel, and I've written down Jess as my notes because I was like, "Oh, it's Jess from New Girl." However, there's another character in this called Jess, so I had to go back and change my notes. So now I looked up her name. It's fucked up what her name is. Do you know what her name is?
What, Zooey Deschanel?
Yeah. No. In this film.
Oh no, yeah. What's the character's? I thought you were just like her name in real life. Have you heard how fucked up Zooey Deschanel's name is?
What the hell's up with that? Deschanel? No, her name's Alma.
Oh, I hate that.
I really hate that too.
No wonder John Leguizamo was like, "Don't marry her."
Don't marry her. She was crying over her fucking name. I wouldn't be called that either.
She told you she'd change it, but it's been 11 years. She hasn't, and she never will. So now we're introduced to, turns out she's getting a handful of calls from a guy named Joey.
Oh yeah, pretty hot and heavy.
Yeah. Do we think it's Joey from Friends?
Yes, there's no way around it. I feel like Matt LeBlanc is just fucking just talking dirty to Zoe. Oh, so Alma's my mistake.
I love that she would just keep picking it up, and he's like, "How you doing?
How you doing?
She's
I'm
like,
gonna ram my cock down your throat, okay?" I've not seen Friends, so I assume that's his catchphrase.
Sorry, no, but you've absolutely nailed Ross. Oh god. Anyway, so I love this. They all decide to get on the train.
Yes.
So they're all on the train. They're all heading up the coast or out of Philly. I don't know where they're going.
Again.
I don't know what the plan is. None of them own cars?
No, it's New York. You don't own a car. You catch the subway. You walk a block. No one has a car in the city. Manhattan.
Is Philadelphia near New York?
Yeah, it is. I think it's a hop, skip, and a jump away. It's like
really?
I think so. It's like Again, I like this film because the big map of like where the thing is, which is great for us because we have no fucking.
Oh my
clue.
god, so many maps.
No, Philadelphia is like an hour. I'm saying roughly. I'm going off Always Sunny in Philadelphia. They can go to New York in like an hour, I think.
Does that take place in Philadelphia?
Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
We have fun.
We have a bit of fun on this podcast.
Yeah, we do. We're known for having a bit. Hey, you come for us, but you stay for the fun.
Who's coming for us?
Oh, God, I don't know. Friends and family.
We're like one of those sad plays people put on. Come round, have a listen.
Talking to my dad the other day, and he was like, "You know, Carl, if I could boo a podcast."
Do not let him really a review. If it's just a bunch of reviews going boo.
He already told me he left a review, and I was like, "Which one did you write?" And he was like, "You don't want to know."
Oh, the one that commented on our appearance? Oh no.
He's like, "I reckon these two kids are ugly, but boy, I bet one of their dads is a stud."
Even at 15, he was a hottie.
He didn't become ugly like that Jake kid. All right, so one of the other things that we see after they get onto the train is this bit where there's like a gun,
Yeah.
right? And everybody kills themselves with a gun.
Yes.
I like how this is shot.
Yeah, it's a bit fun.
Yeah, I like that it just follows the gun on the ground, and then the like dead body will fall down and blood will start flowing into the frame.
It's fun, yeah. You don't really see their faces, but that's mainly for the makeup so they can fall. But yeah, no, it's good. We'll praise the film when we can.
Yeah, like I think so. Like I think in terms of how bad that, like, this is a pretty bad film.
Yeah.
But clearly there's like a style and vision to it.
There's pockets of bits you're like, oh no, if only you changed 90% of it, you'd be in the green.
Yeah, like I was like, oh, you know, this would be a very different film if like Judd Apatow directed it.
No, it'd be then Mark Wahlberg and Zoe just doing riffs for 20 minutes, unedited.
The movie's 2 hours 30 minutes long.
John has so many fucking riffs, and it just wouldn't, and many wouldn't land.
But yeah. So anyway, so we're back on this train. Zooey Deschanel doesn't want to sit near John Leguizamo.
Yep.
So she's sitting by herself. Finally, we get to talk to Joey.
Yes.
What does she say to Joey?
She says, "Don't fucking call me." Also, she says we just shared tiramisu. And then hangs up, right?
She was like, we had tiramisu one time, and then hangs up. And I just wrote, wow, the stakes couldn't be lower for this couple.
I was hoping it's a euphemism, like something, but no, it's just we had dessert on a night out. But like, it sounds like they're in the messiest divorce of all time. I think they're slightly shaky. And Zoe's gone out on not even a date, like a week date.
I know, all she's done is lie about the fact that she was like, oh, I had to work late. Oh, what'd you do? Did you fuck someone? Oh, no, we went down to like Fratelli's and we had a tiramisu.
Oh.
By
coffee...
candlelight? No.
LED lights? No.
Just
a...
fucking shit.
It
was all cold and sterile.
We ate it at a hospital.
You might not know this, but all the Yelp reviews said the tiramisu at this hospital's fantastic.
We just had
so
to
I checked myself in.
Okay, but
I love that. It actually turns out all these people are just injuring themselves to have tiramisu at a hospital.
Oh, you gotta check. That's the real happening. So before we say it, John's wife didn't get on the train. That's his character arc. So I hope nothing bad happens to her.
I love the commitment of them just being like, let's just not even hire someone for his wife.
We already hired
She's
the
just
principal. We already hired the principal. That costed a lot more than we thought. So she doesn't get a look.
Oh, God. So anyway, they lose contact with her, and then they lose contact with everyone. And it was at this time where I was like, I remember them having a kid. I thought they had a kid the entire film. And I was like, oh, did they end up with their kid? And I was like, for some reason, I remember there being 2 to 3 children.
You're right, and I can see how your
Yeah.
memory would form that, because there's a bunch of kids that pop in and out of this film. And
Oh, there's so many
it's
kids
like
that pop in
17
and
minutes.
out.
I don't know how they got so much. Anyway, so yeah, so
Ugh.
anyway, someone, so the train just stops in, I think, a place called Filbert, which is like the middle of nowhere, and
No,
everyone.
are they allowed to just give up? Those conductors are like, oh, we lost contact, so we gave up.
It's not like it's a plane where you have to like land the plane. It's like, oh, there's no one at the train station. We're on a fucking track. Just keep going.
I love that it's like almost like a school lecture. Like they're just like, I just tried to go to the bathroom and there was the biggest mess left in there. And we're not moving this train until somebody cleans it up and takes responsibility.
Everyone heads down. We don't have to see who does it, but someone has to go up and clean that.
We're doing it without judgment, but oh my god, am I upset with each and every one of
The
you.
smelliest poo I've ever smelt is back there, and it's just foul. It's just foul.
And then, like, later, Mark Wahlberg goes up to, like, the group of conductors, and the conductor turns around and is just like, okay, look, I did it, and I didn't want to clean it up. All right? You don't have to corner me about this.
Mark's like, what's happening, huh? What's going on? Tell us. You guys tell us all this stuff, and no one tells me anything.
I know, because everybody seems to think Mark Wahlberg has the answers, so he then has to go find the answers himself and
I
be
have
like,
no clue.
hey, I found the answers.
I have no clue why everyone puts so much like weight. Like, sure, he's our protagonist, but to everyone else, he's just a dude. I don't know how he's the leader all of a sudden.
I'm sorry, but if you see somebody of, like, Mark Wahlberg's stature in a cafe, and you're there during a pandemic, you'd be like, I'm going to follow that guy.
Now, hang
I
on.
hear he's a science teacher.
What have I told you? He was a centimeter shorter than me.
Is he?
Yeah, he is.
Wow, you're tiny.
Let me just fuck off. Let me just double check that. Fuck you. Yeah, no, he's a centimeter shorter than me.
Wow. What is he, 5'8"?
Yeah, 5'8". I thought you were gonna like Haley, like 3'2".
That's wild because he's in the new Uncharted movie with Tom Holland, and they're both short.
Right. So they get off the train.
I know, and this cafe must do fucking phenomenal business from this one train stop.
They are over the moon. The manager was like, "Listen, this pandemic, it's like Amazon during the pandemic. Like, I'm sure they were like, oh no, a lot of people are dying, but I mean, our profit margins are through the fucking roof."
I guarantee you, from the moment that train stopped to 30 minutes before everybody fled that cafe, I bet Jeff Bezos already bought that fucking cafe.
Oh, it's an Amazon cafe now. You step inside, you already owe money.
He was like, I'm sorry, that cafe made how much in a 30-minute period? Buy it.
He still uses a phone, like an 80s Wall Street guy.
He uses a dial.
A rotary phone.
He uses that two-piecer that's like, connector, connect me to the cafe. And
Yes, all the stocks. Let's go. Amazon. That's how they've thrived. They're very retro. Anyway.
Yeah. Of all the tech companies that could be retro, it's Amazon.
They know that people really want authenticity and very old technology.
Oh, they do. I love when I talk to Alexa by dialing 11 numbers, listening to static for a minute, and then she replies.
But it's an actual person. It's just like a.
It just goes to Jeff Bezos' office. He's like, "Ooh, a question for me. I'll find out what the weather is for you."
Where are you? Let me send out some hawks to find the weather out.
You want a carrier pigeon, you say?
So they're at the cafe. Everyone's like fleeing. Pretty much everyone's like just jump. Everyone has cars here. How'd they get cars?
Yeah, I know, right? Because they're all from trains.
Yes. So they're just.
But there's an abundance of cars.
Everyone has keys anyway. So John makes a decision to jump in someone else's car. That's where his wife is going. So then
he makes a very, very easy decision to just abandon his child.
Yeah.
Like, he's flat out making the decision, I'm more interested in my wife than my child's protection.
Yeah.
Which I think is a ballsy move to make for a character.
Does mean that Jess might be a bit of a dickhead. We don't know.
I do love the fact that, like, Zooey Deschanel's like, don't worry, I'll take care of your kid. And he's like, don't fucking touch her unless you can take care of her. And I'm like, but you're giving
Don't
them...
take my
you're-
daughter's hand unless you can make a promise.
I was like, you're giving... What if she's like, oh, okay, I can't take it then? And he's like, oh,
I guess the
I
cafe
guess
might.
I'll take her.
I guess Amazon does have good crashes.
Go on, daughter. Let the drones protect you.
All right.
I love that nobody wants to help them.
No.
Like, they're like, can anybody give us a car? Everyone, no. And then Zooey Deschanel turns around and points to a car a meter from her and is like, there's a car. The car just drives up. That's the sort of, like, weird editing and dialogue where you're like, why'd you even have that there?
It was probably like the stunt driver kept running over Zoe. They were just like, we're going to make it really easy. It's going to just pull up next to her.
Oh god, so they hop in that car with the kid. John Leguizamo decides to go to fucking Denver or somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere.
One of the things though is like Mark Wahlberg's crying and he's like, "Give me a statistic."
Oh, yeah.
And John Leguizamo is like, "There's a 62% chance that my wife is alive." Based on what?
He's a scientist. No, he's not a scientist.
Based on what?
Well, he's run the numbers, and he knows there's a 62% chance. In an inconceivable amount of like possibilities, he's got the exact statistic.
He's gone, we've never been attacked by a biohazard. We're not even sure if it's terrorism, but I've worked out that one area my wife is in has a 60% chance of survival against the thing that's never happened before. How are you crunching that number, John?
Well, if I had a calculator, I'd show you, Carl. I'll show you my working out, but I just can't.
That's it. We can wait.
No. I think that my wife is dropping 61%. Oh, gotta go. Anyway, so then Mark and not Jess, Zoe jump in the hippie's car. I see what you mean by the hot dog people.
Oh my god, this hot dog thing is hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. My favorite things is like hot dogs get a bad rap. They have a cool shape.
Have you ever heard anyone diss a hot dog? I think maybe in America, but
I think people, yeah, they're probably dissed in America. I don't know, they're like kind of gross, right? In Australia, they have pretty high-end hot dogs. It's like, look, it's fucking grain-fed chorizo.
yeah, here's a Wagyu sausage. I guess they might be cheap over there.
Like, they're supposed to just be made from, like, pig intestines and things like that. It's like all the things you don't use from other animals turn into a hot dog. But I think it's wild that if you're going to defend this gross food, you would highlight one of its positives as the shape.
It's not like it's any different to any sausage. Also, it's kind of a fucked up shape. I don't like it.
Well, I mean, this guy's basically just like, hey, you like cock?
You like cock?
Cock's a good shape.
You have like, hey Mark, you like a big cock in your mouth? You're gonna love this shape. Get in it got a lot of protein.
I love the idea that he lists off everything that they're bringing for survivals, just penis-shaped items. He's like, we got popsicles, we got hot dogs.
Bananas.
We got bananas, dipped in chocolate. We got, what else is shaped like a hot dog? We got Twinkies.
No, they got discontinued in 2008, so factually that joke doesn't make sense, Carl. That's your real issue. Factually, that joke is false.
I knew just like Icarus, I would fall from the sun. Flew too high, too loud, Oscar.
3 penis-shaped foods. That's all you got. All right. So they're doing their thing.
Yeah. Should we talk about the John Leguizamo bit?
Yeah.
Because this is, I think, in my opinion, the best bit of the film.
Fair enough. Then followed with one of the worst scenes in the film. So let's go.
Yeah, so they basically drive into town.
Yeah.
And there's ladders everywhere in the lead up, and then suddenly everybody hanging from trees over the road. And it looks just like it's just a really chilling image.
Yeah. I remember being freaked out as a kid watching this. This like burned my brain.
Yeah.
A lot of other things burned my brain about this film, which made it more comedic. But yeah, this is pretty spooky.
Yeah, and then I like the fact that they're like, it's annoying because it's silly. But I like the fact that they're like, oh, okay, we've got to close all of the vents in the car. And then the sound design is just this little bit of whooshing.
Yeah.
And it's just, they look up and there's that little rip. And then the car just comes to a stop and then fucking crashes.
Which, now that sounds fantastic, but you've missed one really annoying part of the film. in this scene.
Is it the Is it the penny
it's
thing?
John going, listen, all right, so there's one woman in the car freaking out, and John's like, all right, I know you're freaking out. Let's do some math. That'll settle you down. If I had a single penny and it doubles every day, what would I end up with? And she's making some of the worst. I think they crashed a car due to her shit math skills. She goes, $10? No. $20? No. $30. It's 10 million. And then the car crashes.
Did you work it out? Because I was there going, I think I can work this out before her.
Yeah, exactly. She gives some awful guesses. After you get to day 15, it's in the hundreds. I don't know why she was saying $10.
But yeah, so they crashed the car. And then this always made me sad. I always thought it was quite a sad image of just John Leguizamo sitting down on the ground looking for some glass and then starting to just cut at his wrists.
Yeah, it's
and cutting away. I was like, oh, it's like it's all just really rough.
I gotta tell you, this is a case of the manic Mondays. this is one of those days.
Just watching it and I was like, ugh, me before my morning coffee.
Just slicing your wrist with some broken glass.
Oh god, is this film offensive or insensitive? Like, what do we? If this was to try and come out now, do we think that this film would be under a lot of fire for being a movie about suicide?
Oh, that's interesting. Because the biggest issue, I guess, people would be like, let's bit of a warning. This has stuff with this. The movie is so shit due to the acting and some of the writing that kind of folds it up.
Some of the writing.
Yeah, first 40 minutes are great. No, you're totally right. It probably would have some impact. That sort of oh, you shouldn't do this.
I guess because it's not trying to have a commentary on depression, it might be able to get away with it.
I guess you could flip it and sort of say, isn't it scary that you lose your sense of your body? I think that's more what if I was trying to...
which I do actually think is frightening.
Yeah.
I do think there's a version of this film that could be good out there. And I reckon it probably needs to be on a lower budget. I don't think you need $60 million to do this film right.
What is a 60 million? I guess the Times Square stuff, a lot of extras and stuff.
There's a lot of extras through it. I'm sure Mark Wahlberg cost a fair bit back in 2008. And also it's M. Night Shyamalan who gets tens of millions of dollars.
Was this his first kind of ooh, definitely not right?
Well, it's just one of those things where it was it's like how the people that did The Matrix haven't really had a giant success since The Matrix, but they'll still give them lots of money because you don't want to be the studio that missed out on the next Matrix.
Yeah, exactly.
That makes sense.
Definitely.
The Sixth Sense made in today's money over $1 billion.
Oh, it's insane.
You don't want to risk.
As an original film, how much did it cost? It was nothing.
Probably 40 million, I reckon.
Yeah, 40 million exactly. Look at you, Mr.
Boxer. I know. And I think back then it made $690 or something like that, didn't it? 660?
Yeah, 670. Oh, you know your numbers. For you're a Matt.
Right.
You John, aren't you? Look, give me the statistics. If I had a penny. Okay, so we're back with Marky Mark, and they're just still walking. This is kind of the rest of the film.
Yeah, I think this is where I genuinely was having a good fun time with the film up until this point, and I think it loses its way really quickly.
I think so,
especially because it highlights its everything to do with trees so intensely. It's just wild to me. So Kendall from Succession rocks up.
Says the funniest, the best line delivery of the whole film. He goes, cheese and crackers. he's like a military man, and oh, thank God the army's here. He runs over kind of flamboyantly. He's like, you guys know what's going on. I'm freaked out.
He walks over and he's like, well, how to do? I'm like, who the fuck is this character?
It's not like he gets fleshed out. He's just kind of... Anyway, so yeah, then a bunch of people kind of congregate into this
Oh, it's so funny. They're in a intersection and they're like, oh God, okay. He's basically don't go down there. And they're like, oh, that's okay. There's still 2 more directions to go. And within that sentence, more people come from those other 2 directions being like, oh,
do not go back there. They're all like, oh, it's smelly down there. You're not going to like that. So then...
That conductor from the train has done another deuce down the road and... Ooh.
I would not go... Light a match.
But yeah, so and this is where for some reason Mark Wahlberg's like, oh, I'm beginning to believe this plant theory from that one dude.
Yes, at the moment they're kind of like, man, we don't know what's causing it. Maybe it's terrorists. Maybe it's just something. Maybe it's nuclear power. And yeah, he's like, the plants are what have caused this.
So here's the thing: they run. Well, they don't run, but they go into the field to survive.
Yes.
Right. And then because Kendall from Succession has a gun,
Yep.
shoots himself, and then I think they do that. They probably do that similar gun thing to what we saw earlier in the film. But if they were to catch Mark Wahlberg and Zooey Deschanel and the child in that field, what would they kill themselves with?
I guess they just have to just get inventive, really. Isn't there like another movie with that sort of thing? Like, or maybe it's just like, maybe I'm just thinking crazy, but like, like a mental asylum, how like it's all padded and stuff. Oh no, it's
Final Destination.
Yes, Final Destination.
Two?
Yes,
Yeah.
She doesn't she doesn't have anything around her that can hurt her.
Yeah. It's like
I guess they could get inventive, but yeah, essentially.
Would you just hit your head into a tree till you die? Maybe.
I guess so. Yeah, some people gotten. Was there anyone that kind of killed themselves roguely? I guess you just strangle yourself, wouldn't you, or something?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, I do wanna bring up this one bit because I accidentally brushed over it.
Yeah.
But they're listening to a phone call of a girl. Of a girl on the phone that's like, everybody outside is dead, and she like puts her on and she's like, I see calculus or something like that.
Yeah.
And then there's like a crashing, and Mark Wahlberg takes the phone and is like, all I hear is wind.
You're also so right. That scene's so funny because again, Mark Wahlberg isn't the leader, and he just kind of goes, "Hey, give me the." It's definitely her daughter, like going like a suicide call, and she's like, "Hey, give me the phone. I want to see how it is over there in Denver. Is it bad?"
I love it. And she's the mother's like, it's okay, just look at the tree outside. No, don't look at the tree. Don't look at the tree outside, sweetie.
Too late. Anyway, so then now it's pretty much there's like 40 of them. They're all dead. It's just Mark, Zoe, Jess the little girl, and then suddenly two kids show up. One of them, Spencer Breslin.
Where the hell did they come from? Yeah, so he returned to the podcast.
Oh my god, we can do that sound effect. We've forgotten to do that quite a few times, but Spencer Breslin is back again. Cat in the Hat all the way to this.
Are you editing this episode or am I?
I can edit this episode, yes.
Cool, then you can do it.
Fantastic.
I was like, if it's me, I'm not doing that sound.
All right. So the five of them are now just running away from the wind, right?
Yeah, which is a pretty famous scene, just in terms of how stupid it is.
Yeah.
We have to stay in front of the wind.
But I love it. They're like, just make sure the wind doesn't blow, and then they all look over the hill.
The
and just
wind blows. How funny would it be if this was just a tie-in to The Last Airbender? It's like, we know what killed them all. The Airbender did. He just blew wind everywhere.
Well, he's got like a lot of those. Like apparently, like each film, like Split and Glass, all like big. It's like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but just shit random films, and just like they're all connected. It's like I don't want that.
It's like how all the Pixar ones have that like single ball.
Yeah.
It's like, look, they're all in the ball universe. Oh, that's fun, I guess. That's fun for you to animate, but me as an audience member doesn't give a shit.
It's not fun for them. It's definitely a higher up saying that than that the lowest paid dude. Like, just animate a ball in there. I don't care where. Just fucking chuck it somewhere.
I love the idea. It's just like Ratatouille just puts that ball in as an ingredient. They're like, man, you got lazy with that one, didn't you? And he's like, yeah.
Salt, pepper, a ball.
Ball.
Coriander.
The ball from other Pixar films. You can't say it.
Hey, look, the car from Cars.
A little bit of Lightning McQueen, a little bit of John Goodman.
Some ants. Not from A Bug's Life. That's a tie-in to the DreamWorks one.
Oh god. Anyway, so yeah, they outrun the wind. Actually, we also have that famous line that while they're all like, "What do we do?" And he's like, "Be scientific, douchebag."
It's all lame. This film kind of
which
gets
which
sucky.
which I read was improv'd by him.
Really?
I was like, why are you claiming like pride over that line?
Hey, you know that bad line that was mocked? Or me.
Hey, you like that line? No, not really. Oh, well, it was all me, baby.
I stopped production so I could say it, and M was like, I guess we'll keep it in.
He was like, all right, M, can we do one more take where I just get to riff? And M was like, what film do you think this is?
The Russo brothers in the other field, like, just do it. Just have fun with it.
So they now just have these other two kids. They've got Cat in the Hat Kid.
Yep.
And then they've found a model home.
Yep. This sounds
and
interesting. They leave.
I know. During the model home, these are some of the things that happen. Zooey Deschanel says this place must have a bathroom. You would think it is a house.
Yes.
Mark Wahlberg talks to a fake plant, which is genuinely funny.
I think it's funny. I think it's pretty funny.
But is it meant to be funny?
I think
it's meant to be funny, but why is it not filmed like it's meant to be funny? It's filmed so stagnant, like it's a dramatic scene.
it's a strange one because either they know that this is silly, but then I don't think Mark knows it's silly.
It's hard to work out whether or not the movie knows it's a B movie or not. Like I don't know how much I should be giving the film in terms of it making
I will
fun of
give
itself.
this. I feel like the acting is so like repulsively stale that it almost might have been a direction from him. I don't know. It feels like a weird $40 million fumble for a B. It sounds like a $2 million budget sort of idea.
Yeah, because here's the thing. I think M. Night has the issue of having actors be like this in a handful of films.
Oh, really?
Like and sometimes it really works, is the thing, and other times it's not. He just has actors act really dry sometimes. But then these are just absolutely the worst acting he's probably ever,
Yeah, definitely.
ever had anyone do. So I don't, and they're good actors too. Like they shouldn't be being bad.
Exactly. Like they're all like Mark. You could say like but he's still been doing it for like 15 years.
But I mean, they need to. I think if it's a B movie, there needs to be more of a wink, wink, and a nudge, nudge at the beginning to make you realize you shouldn't be taking any of it seriously.
No, exactly. It's
Right?
yeah, 100%. There's like little bits you kind of think like, oh, they kind of know what they're doing. Here's the thing. He said he wanted to make the best B movie. So maybe he wasn't trying to do a B movie. He was just trying to do a plot of a B movie, but like to like such a high art, which then might...
because it's got like certain elements, which is like, for example, them going to that place, and it's like the chick there is crazy.
Yeah.
Is like a B movie trope
Yeah.
in terms of these sorts of survival B movies.
Should we just jump to that?
I mean, do we want to talk about these kids?
Oh
fucking
yeah,
dying?
we'll talk about the kids dying. So these like angry rednecks are like, "Don't go to my house," and then Spencer Breslin just starts having like a panic attack. Just starts smashing the door.
A little hissy fit.
Like, "Give me the food," and the guy just shotguns him in the face.
Oh my god, I have not seen kids this young die so brutally in a film for a long time.
They just
really took me by surprise.
They get introduced and then shot, and then Mark's like, "Oh well, I guess we'll go to the next house."
Do you reckon they did this to make you think that they might kill off the girl?
No. Oh.
You reckon?
I don't...
Like, it's like...
It seems like a lazy attempt to do it, because they introduced the characters, like, 4 minutes ago. Like, I don't think you could be like, I don't know. Like, sure, it's capable of killing kids, but not to the point that, like, they'll kill off a main character.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, we can just go to the crazy lady.
Yeah. So, at this time, we've looked through... It's kind of like a Walking Dead, like, going to house to look for supplies sort of deal. Like, this is the 4th house they've been to.
Which is wild, because we find out at the end of the movie it all takes place in a day.
Yeah. It takes less. It's 22 hours. So they must have been walking for so much. The train must have, like, been most of the day.
Oh, right? It's like, but I don't... everything just fell to shit in that day really quickly.
Yeah, everything fucked up bad.
Yeah.
Do you think...
They make this...
You say this is like a B-movie element. I don't think this film has enough time to do this, like, thing. It's going for like a horror movie, like crazy chick sort of thing.
Yeah, I reckon it was longer, and some of his viewers been like, this can only be 90 minutes.
Yeah. Cut it down.
Because they really do jump around pretty sporadically.
Yeah.
And God, do they find so many radios along the way? They find like 9 radios.
To the point that you think they just bring the radio.
Yeah.
Find one, bring it.
Oh God, this woman's like, you were planning on murdering me. And he's like, what? No.
Which is fun.
Anyway, the trees get her.
The trees get her. She starts smashing her head. I remember this so vividly when I watched it the first time. Was this pipe mechanic? I remember, like, 'cause they explained it so detailed. It's a 90-minute film. It's mostly like, okay, if you're in this house, you can hear someone in another house very clearly. And I was like, oh, that's going to come into the film. It doesn't really.
Yeah, not that much. The main thing that's said when they start using the pipe is, purple means I'm horny.
Yeah, did not like that at all. So Zoe and Jess are in the other house. Mark's in the other house. They're just chatting because they think the wind's going to get them. Mark and Zoe, I guess, are like falling back in love. Is what this is?
Were they out of love? Like, were they just going through a rough patch, or were they amidst a divorce?
I don't know. It seemed like they're freshly married. It seemed like it seemed like a little bit rocky, but not to the extent that it's that bad. It also seems like the wedding's pretty recent. Like John says, like she was unhappy on her wedding night. It seems like it's happened a couple of months ago.
It's happening.
Oh, that's the movie title. We worked it in. They work it in 25 times during this fucking film.
Yeah, so then they're just like, hey, do we all just die together? And they're like, yeah, all right. So they just walk out.
Yeah.
And it just cuts, and they're like, don't be late for your first day of school.
3 months later.
Everyone bounced back pretty easily.
Yeah. I'll say right now, with the whole COVID thing, I mean, we're back in lockdown, but even when it was kind of good, it didn't take 3 months. It's been very slow. Nothing. I feel like everyone dying might have a bit of an impact.
Right. And I love the fact that they basically sit the camera at a television and just drill home the fact the movie's about the environment.
Yeah.
Like, very explicitly. And I do like the idea that there's like, yeah, nobody wants to listen. They're like, we don't believe it was the environment, so we're just going to keep doing our
That's
thing.
a fun message if it was in a better film, but this one...
Yeah, for sure.
It's like, oh, it's kind of funny that even the planet revolting, people are like, I just could not care less. It was probably terrorists, right? Like, no, it wasn't.
Do we think the baby is Joey's?
Oh, I did not think of that, actually. Yeah, so Zoe's pregnant. I hope so. I hope so.
The tiramisu's got to be a fucking cover.
I'll say it right now. We didn't really touch on it. Tiramisu's the horniest dessert there is. It's French coffee.
I've never not gotten laid when eating tiramisu.
Yeah, I constantly jack it while I'm eating tiramisu just so that doesn't happen. You're a fucking fiend for tiramisu twice a day.
I'm never not eating it. I've got a slice on me. I'm handy always.
That's why this is virtual, this podcast. I just couldn't help. We have to have a break.
I have a tiramisu addiction, and Oscar did not appreciate it. Any final thoughts?
There's films that are bad, and there's films that I'm like, oh man, there's little bits you could take, and that's all right. I think we kind of get where he's coming from. I just don't know what's happened.
Neither. I don't get it.
Yeah.
In terms of, I don't know, it's just, I think everything about this movie is inconsistent, because even if it's trying to be a B movie, some of its, I guess, horror elements, I think, are very good. So
this must be what all producers, because like Sixth Sense probably sounds about the same as a script as like this. So like a producer must be just freaking out. They must have no clue what to do with this. Just like, yeah, we'll take a $40 million gamble. Maybe it'll work.
Yeah, and I mean, it made over 150 million. So
all his movies make. I think Lady of the Water didn't though. Or
yeah, I think that's his only actual bomb.
Which fair enough.
Like even after Earth made over like 200 million, I think.
Jesus, Lady in the Water 70 million.
Fuck off!
Yeah.
Does that cost 70 million?
Yeah. Oh no! Do you know why? I mean, we'll say it next episode. But they built the hotel.
Really?
They built the hotel.
God, you better hope they film the shit out of that hotel.
Not really, actually. I mean, it's in the background, but it's not like needed.
You have a favorite death from this film?
I do. I
Any-
do like. We didn't really touch on it, but before the construction worker guy falls, this guy's telling this dirty jokes like, "So I had this short guy, right, and a tall guy, and he was banging this broad, and then the guy falls down. He's like, John." So that's my favorite death. What about you?
Oh god, there's a man that walks into a tiger pen for no reason,
that is fun.
and is like, sniff my hand, sniff it, and the tiger doesn't want to eat him, and then the tiger's like, I'll fucking do it, and then it does, and then it cuts back, and he's lost one of the arms, and because you're supposed to be like fine with the death, it's weird to see this guy just not freaking out he's lost an arm. He basically turns around and is like, here, have another arm.
I didn't feel that, but I love it. It's like a 50-year-old woman showing him on an iPhone, like a lively.
Oh, it's so funny. She's like, hey, look how fucked up this is. And then reacts to it again and is like, oh, who would show that? That's vile.
But it's also like, she's like, hey, iPhone, full screen. It's like 2008, like, 3GS, that's right, we got it.
I love it. She's like, see what happens when I turn it sideways? It expands the size of the picture.
Your BlackBerry doesn't do that, does it? Also, final thoughts. It also does end in Paris with the exact same thing. I like to think the exact same events happen.
I think the movie missed. I think, you know what? I would absolutely think it was a B movie had that French guy turned around and gone, Sacre bleu! And put both these hands on his face and it cut to black.
We need Le Marky Mark.
Get me the funk bunch.
It's transmitted through croissants. Just so lazy.
I love it. Oh no, the disease makes you the disease makes you forget who you are.
You want to sacre kill yourself? Fucking hell, no. All right, Carl, who would watch this?
Oh, look, I think this is a pretty fun one if you're watching this with a group and some alcohol. I think this is actually it's a pretty high level bad film.
I think
in terms
so.
Of like,
this is definitely
in terms of I think it's famous for being bad for a reason. I think most people have a good time with it. Honestly, I was having a good time with the film, even though it is bad. I was having a good time with the film for probably the first 30 minutes.
I think I'll stretch it. Even the first hour, I think's fun. I think that last half an hour fucking sucks because it's boring.
Yeah, I don't think it knows where it wants to go or what it wants to do. And I think because it scales back the amount of people that are in it, and you're like, well, I kind of want to see even more ridiculous deaths, like Final Destination or something like that.
Definitely.
And because you're not giving that to me, like there's a guy that just like mows himself. That's fun. I want more of that.
That is fun. But then the last like 30 minutes has none of that. It's just like them kind of they don't even escape because they just get to a barn and then it's like, well, 3 months later. It just seems lazy.
Yeah. So who do I think it's for? I think it's just lovers. I'll give an honest answer for this. I think it's for lovers of bad films. I think this is a good bad film. Really good bad film.
I think so. This is probably one that we haven't done this for a while, but this is like a pretty famous bad film. We've been doing a lot of sort of ones that are sort of not under the radar, but aren't known for being bad films. So this is the first one. So this is quite enjoyable. I'd say it right now. I'm keen for this month.
Yeah, same. I think everything that M. Night Shyamalan does is interesting in a way that can be good or really fucking atrocious. To the point that even his really atrocious movies, I think, are still interesting. Like, I think if you actually take any sort of scene from this movie, you'd be like, everything about that scene is interesting in terms of why are they acting like that? Why is it framed like that? And what's going on?
So, full stars, 5 stars?
Yeah, on the bad movie scale, 5 stars.
Oh, it is.
Fuck
Actually, on bad movie, it is definitely up there. It's definitely, one of the most... I definitely think you nailed it. It's fun to watch with friends.
It's under 90 minutes, which I think is a fucking godsend.
God, it really upset me because the trivia was like, this is his shortest film. I went, oh, fuck, no.
They progressively get longer and longer from here up.
Fuck's sake. Yeah. So we may be watching Old. I guess that'll be our palate cleanser for the last one of the month.
Yeah, so we'll let people know that if Old gets bad reviews, we will seek out Old.
Yeah.
I feel like, having read that graphic novel, it'll probably... I don't think anyone could manage to make that graphic novel.
Oh, you think it's going to be bad?
I would love for it to be good, because I love giving M. Night the benefit of the doubt. And because I do really like some of his movies, but I don't have faith in him that he, of all people, will nail that film. And I'd love for him to prove me wrong.
All right, fair enough. I thought the budget was promising. It's quite low. So I thought, oh, maybe he's done what he can with the budget.
I was reading somewhere it's like the only original studio film coming out this summer.
Oh, nice.
Everything else is a sequel, remake, or reboot.
Just
or something
safe,
like that.
just a safe affairs.
Yeah, everything's safe. He's that's the only one that's like, this is it's based off a graphic novel, but it's just a fucking premise.
Yeah, that's it.
Also, he's also gonna have to have added stuff to it to make it a feature film.
You reckon?
Yeah, it's quite a short graphic novel because it's just fucking people on a beach aging and freaking out.
And that doesn't make a great little watch.
Well, it's all literally, it's such I think supposed to be a thematically heavy thing. It's literally all about the fact of how quick life is its main message. So
I wonder if he really heavy handles that one. Just you get old real quick and then bang, dies.
Yeah. All right, Oscar, what are we reviewing in next week?
Next week, Carl, we're doing The Last Airbender, or is this one called something else? Avatar: The Last Airbender, the movie.
Is that because Avatar came out the year before this and probably stole its name?
Probably, pretty much. I have seen it. It's a cinematic disaster. Very keen to not keen to watch it, but keen to bitch about it for. It'll be a bad episode. Just be going, that's just what they showed it better.
Yeah, because I think you're probably more of a fan of the show than I am. Or I like the show. I don't have a huge memory of it, but I remember watching all of it.
Fair enough.
So, and I also remember being repulsed by everything.
Yeah,
this film
the film is a fucking train wreck. So keen to watch it. I remember it being long too, so that's worse.
Oh god, come on, under 90.
Us now 43. Thank Jesus. Oh, thank God.
An hour 43.
Yeah.
Wow, I would not spend $150 million on beginning a franchise based off a television show with a movie that's only an hour and 43 minutes long.
I mean, it condenses an entire season, which is 10 hours of content. Oh, God.
Yeah. All right, well, that'll be interesting to talk about.
All right, thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening.